Joining me is my Thursday regular Nationals frontbencher Barnaby Joyce, the former Deputy Prime Minister. Barnaby Joyce, always good to see you. Look, it's no surprise, is it, that Linda Burney had to go. She was terrible in selling a terrible idea, The Voice, and when that failed, she seemed totally out of any other idea to help Aborigines. I mean, when I say that, really help them.
Well, de mortuis nil nisi bonum, isn't it? Andrew, speak nothing but good of the dead, and in the metaphorical terms, the people who have politically passed on. So I have good things to say about Linda. I believe she's a very warm person. I was very interested today when listening to a Wiradjuri man who said it must absolutely be said that a big commendation goes to her adoptive parents, who he said, and he was a Wiradjuri man, said went against the tide and would have had a lot of pushback and would have had a tough time doing what they did, and they did an exceptionally good job. And so I think that is what we have to see in what Linda has done. Linda certainly is a champion for the Aboriginal people, without a shadow of a doubt. She has, and she'll continue to be a champion of the Aboriginal people. I don't agree with her on issues, most certainly The Voice, which I saw as a split of the Australian people, and no matter what, that rises above all of us, that we are all Australians. I'm not Irish, I'm not English, I'm not Spanish or any of the other parts that are those who came before me, my antecedents, I suppose. But I am an Australian, 100% Australian. And anything that says I'm not an Australian, I find anathema. And I find that with people of all races and all colours and all creeds. We call ourselves Australians. So on that issue, I differed from Linda, but the idea that Aboriginal people who live an Aboriginal life, who grow up as Aboriginals, certainly there is so much that needs to be done there. That is just self-evident. If you go to Cunnamulla, if you go to Burke, if you go into the communities up in the Territory, if you go even into my area, in my seat, only a fool would say that we couldn't do a better job and do more. That's exactly what we want to do. But we're not going to do it by creating different classes of Australians based on their DNA. That is a very, very dangerous path to go down.
Yes, I don't want to jeer her out the door. It's a difficult day for her. But Barnaby, and I agree, and I said, she's warm, she's good company, all that kind of stuff. Absolutely get it. But my point is, if you don't learn the lessons from her disastrous reign there, then we are going to keep repeating this cycle of resentment and IOU and this and that, and nothing will get done. Nothing will get done. That victim mentality, well, I think is killing Aboriginal kids. The big thing there, killing some
big
kids.
Thing there, I know, and the big thing there, Andrew, I think what we should, even the sort of the macro politics, what was good about The Voice is the first chance the Australian people got to vote for so many things that are just brought in by executive power, things that happen to us which we have no say about. Like, I don't remember the vote where we were going to have 3 flags and not one. I don't remember the vote we were going to start each day with someone saying in English a sort of a quasi prayer, welcome to country. I live in this country. I absolutely respect the Aboriginal culture more so than most. I believe you me, I've grown up with it. But I'm not. It's not like I don't belong here. There's always an inference that somehow I'm not an Australian, and I am an Australian, and this is my country. But when the Australian people get a chance to vote,
absolutely,
they're quite overwhelmingly in making the statement. And so what I like about their vote is amazing that when you take it away from the executive and give it to the Australian people, they make it a starkly different choice to what's presumed to be the sort of the consummate knowledge of the executive and the enlightened, who force so many other things on us without us ever having a chance to have a say about it.
I think if you dragged a lot of things before the public for a vote, you'd be surprised what they might vote out of existence. And I think Welcome to Country would be one of them. Barnaby, this reshuffle on Sunday...
The thing about Welcome to Country, just so I can enlarge on that, before all the haters get up, Welcome to Country, when someone gets up and says in English something that was basically, if you go back to Trove or you go back to any source documents, we can't find anything before 1980 that sounds even remotely like the so-called Welcome to Country. And certainly, if it was ever said, it was never said in English. But, if we even question this, we're anathema, we're outraged, outrageous to question the validity of it.
Barnaby, just quickly, I'm out of time, but speaking, Andrew Giles is almost certainly going to be, the immigration minister, be reshuffled when Albanese announces this reshuffle on Sunday. Here's another reason for doing that. He got 3 people, essentially from the multicultural industry, plus 7 advisors, so 10 in all, 4 of them of Muslim background, to review our multicultural policies. Got exactly the wacky report you'd expect. No mention of the rise of anti-Semitism. 29 recommendations so out there the government hasn't committed to even one of them. And one of those recommendations is giving the citizenship test in languages other than English. I mean, how does stuff like that get part of the government machinery?
Because the executive thought that was a great idea. I mean, there's some enlightened soul who has lived in every corner of Australia. They've lived in Red Hill and Civic and been to Parliament House. They've been right across Australia. And they would think that was perfectly reasonable from the multi-generational Caucasian wealth, which is the centre of Canberra. I mean, of course, it's completely wacky. I mean, you're going to have to live in a country where if you don't speak English fluently, you're at a disadvantage. Let's be honest.
For me, look, citizenship, to be a proper citizen of this country, you need English. You need to participate. And to have the citizenship test in a language other than English defeats the purpose. It's ridiculous.